scene are you talking about?
The scene where, you know, he's fighting Ajax for the first time.
Yeah.
In the burning wreckage of the lab.
Okay, so like chronologically, like the first time.
Yeah, the first time. Okay. Yeah, chronologically the first time. So like the middle of the movie, which honestly felt more like a final battle than the end did.
Ugh.
And it was just so strange that they made such a big deal of zooming in on him, like bending the metal and impaling him and keeping him there.
Oh yeah, and then there was just it didn't matter at all.
The next scene, he does the hand thing, and I get it's to translate he's immortal and he can regenerate, but it doesn't. Like, why? It was just so.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time on it, and then like you kind of saw a piece of rebar as they like zoomed over the rubble.
It didn't.
It didn't matter.
Strange. It was strange. Felt lucky.
Yeah. But okay, so Deadpool. Instead of forcing it to be a comedy by shoehorning in an actor and a director, it was like no, we took a character that is funny and is supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
And like more than that, because Deadpool is self-aware. That made the movie have to be you know that thing where we always talk about this movie knew what it was. Yeah. This movie literally definitively had to know what it was.
And the best part,
it couldn't fuck that up.
Exactly. It had no excuse, and it proved that at the very start.
Yeah.
With the credits that were, you know, contributing to all those jokes
all
and stuff.
Cutesy,
they all worked. And then the CG spin around of the scene they spent the most
super
money
bullet
on.
time. And that was I mean that scene that whole fight scene on the bridge is great. In the terms that the movie would use, it blew its wad on that first fight.
Just
and
everywhere.
That last fight left a lot because just showing super strength of that woman because they made her like a little strong. She shoves regular Deadpool down a little bit. Like okay, so she's strong.
Exactly.
In quotes for a woman.
Oh boy, they could have done a funnier joke. Would have been, oh, you're really strong for a person.
That would have been funny.
Exactly, it would have actually been funny instead of a plot tool. Because we have to explain her powers. Why did we have to explain her powers? Ajax. Super strength wasn't even one of his powers, and that was described in the first scene of the chokehold. Yeah. And she had a chokehold later in the movie. You could have, and that would have actually built some tension if you didn't know what her powers were.
See, that's the thing. Her fight with Colossus, they kept it all really something blurry happens, and then the CGI team just moved Colossus's body into more CGI trash. It was couldn't we have gotten some kind of I don't know, her feet sinking into the ground or her muscles flexing, any kind of macro moment to show no, we actually spent some time on this action scene. She waste all our money.
She fell, but then that was kind of. The takeaway was the joke that they made about the fall. But then she had a moment there where she was walking with Colossus.
Yeah.
I liked that.
I liked the fucking kidney punch.
Yes.
Just throwing him down.
She was intense. It was good.
Man.
It was good.
The hand really was the most graphic part, really.
Yeah. And he was looking at the camera for it, so it worked.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we can definitely make a point that everybody seems to be making. Colossus was done perfectly.
Yeah, they just went, this is the X-Men, let's just go hardcore into, these characters are not comic book characters are comic book, but they're also comic book characters.
You gotta hit a couple key points and you're fine.
He's big and he's Russian and he's kind of paternalistic.
Yes,
there you go. Boom, boom,
that's
boom.
It. And they nailed that in the first scene with the protein bar.
Yes.
Oh, and then Wade explained
vegetables.
Wade explained the teenage character in the next scene, and then that was great too. But Ajax was. He had the same haircut as regular Wade, which that was for me
confusing. He could have been a more. They could have given him, I don't know, some zenith sideburns or something.
Yeah, I don't know, a scar,
garbage,
anything to just sort of get him. He had that little shit-eating grin, and he was kind of British, I guess, but. And then he had axes at the end. You're like, what?
Yeah. I just that was the thing. Okay, so let's talk about budget.
Okay.
This movie was made for under $60 million.
It's pretty.
It's less than half of what an Iron Man or Avengers movie would be made for.
Yeah. So on a.
They had slated 4 more mutants to be in this, and they cut them because they were clearly we know why. I mean, the 2 mutants they did have, they spent very little time on and very little budget on.
Yeah.
And so it's very clear. It's no, they were making the most they could with the money they had, and that honestly I think it's worth it for the bridge scene. The bridge scene is again just elegant.
And the thing is, you can tell that was their scene because they kept coming back to it. Well, that's how the plot of the movie was structured.
Even more than like the movie itself coming back to it, I think it's hilarious that that's the exact, like 2 years ago when we got like that like 10-minute like short of Deadpool, it was that scene.
Exactly. So they showed.
Yeah, like just even again.
They did that first. It's very clear.
I think it's fair because like the guy who directed Tim Miller, first time he's directed a feature.
Oh, no, because I didn't recognize his name.
His thing is he's a VFX director.
Okay.
He did VFX direction in Mass Effect 2.
Nice.
In Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars.
Just some video.
And Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty good.
Those are the 3 things basically he's done, and so like seeing him step in and like do such a really good VFX scene, I was like, no, that's fair.
Yeah, no.
They made his eyes, like.
Oh yeah.
Talking about the acting. Yeah, let's talk about acting.
Oh, Ryan.
We'll start with Ryan. Yeah.
Ryan did a great job. There was definitely, we all love the moment where he's prancing and he kicks the door down, because he's in that. I don't think there was enough Deadpool mania, because of the plot didn't really demand that.
They didn't make him crazy because they had to show pre-crazy Deadpool.
Exactly, but I think he really got to shine in scenes where he's in like the Ryan Reynolds pose.
Yeah.
Those.
The visual
people.
comedy worked, but you always like again like I was talking about. We were like, I don't know how much acting credit we can give to him because like
he's
all
in
of
the
the
suit.
CGI
He's in the suit.
All of it's those CGI eyes popping up, which I love. I love touch. They were like
they did it.
His circumstances really have kind of left him unchanged, which is interesting. Which makes it work because then we're not bored by the flashbacks. Because honestly, if he wasn't the same character in the flashbacks,
it was just so boring.
Pretty bad. Pretty boring flashbacks. Because flashbacks are boring and terrible. But
they're bad. Honestly, I would have been more comfortable if they had just gone with it. Because
And see, I think that's why they sprinkled the flashbacks in. It was because they knew 50% of their audience was going to know who Deadpool was, and for the other 50%, and the thing is by starting with action scenes and then sprinkling in the back the flashbacks, we, the people who know who Deadpool is, kept engaged. It's kind of a cheap way to keep us engaged, but I think it's fair.
A lot of the acting, interestingly enough, was writing. Like the fact that he got to mention himself. He talked about Hugh Jackman a lot, pushing his man crush on him with the paper, and he had the Green Lantern joke at the start.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was so full of meta jokes, which I enjoyed definitely at the time. Talking about enjoyment and pleasure in the movie, but I kind of look at it, I'm like, did they dig themselves in a hole for anything else? I was like, once you see this movie the first time, all those jokes.
Yeah.
I know comedies don't have usually as good a rewatch value, but all of these jokes were so also just the time they were in.
They definitely killed with volume. They just sprayed.
Oh yeah, this was a shotgun movie. I mean, they were they just kept slinging the jokes out. The reason you don't think there are any bad jokes in Deadpool is because you don't remember them because there were too many.
You remember the
only the good ones stuck.
Only the ones you like.
And honestly, this superhero movie is going to change a lot because it's the first R-rated superhero movie since my favorite superhero movie, Punisher Warzone.
Punisher Warzone
is so good and so underappreciated. But in the same way that this movie knew what it was and it was hyper violent, so was Punisher Warzone and everything else. But whatever.
It's knowing what it is so important because
I'm excited to see they're getting a second movie.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna get triple the budget. I mean, again, we talked
easily.
I like that they threw in too the crossover. It's a Fox property, but they threw the helicarrier in, the Marvel continuity stuff.
Yes, they did.
That's cool.
Hey, it's good.
It's been done at this point.
God, so we're kind of excited.
At least it wasn't fucking Queen. Jesus Christ. I'm so tired of
every single time a superhero violent montage, a trailer that's coming out. It's got to be Queen. It's got to be Queen.
Almost as annoying as the Batman vs Superman drop track they had on the trailer.
Boy.
Dun 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 dun.
And having an original soundtrack in it for the movie.
Yeah, the Deadpool song was good.
Yeah,
the Deadpool
song was good, and the extra give it to you. That was good for the joke because they only played it that one time.
Exactly.
And then all of them were walking in, and it was funny.
Again, I don't know, I knew, I had a really resistance of being I'm gonna be that hipster thing of I don't like it because everybody likes it, but honestly, I was at Deadpool, I'm down for some mass appeal just shoved into it. I'm completely happy. The other interesting thing I want to talk about, it's just because I never liked Deadpool in comics because it just was boring. And I was like, it's been done. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But like, it's interesting to see the reason like Deadpool started in comics and got so popular was because comics had gotten to kind of a boring point.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see superhero movies have gotten to that boring point.
Yeah.
And so Deadpool did so well because everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is a completely.
They forgot how fun it could be.
Exactly.
Because we're getting to the point where people want this drama and they want this big budget.
And if it's not 100% extended action scenes, what's the point?
Exactly. As seen by Avengers 2, where the movie itself was just a giant commercial for like 16 other movies. What is the limit? Like, they've been pumping Thanos for how many other movies? It's just...
Oh my god. We were in high school when that teased.
I get it. Like, he's a character, apparently. But it's not a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that payoff's not worth it. Like, you know,
it's just becoming tired.
One of the things I always did actually really like about Deadpool comics was the action choreography. There's some really good stuff. There's a scene where a guy shoots an RPG at Deadpool in a comic, and he's driving a truck, and he spins the truck so that it goes through the windows. And they pause and like, that's really awesome.
Yeah, they recognize
And in this movie, they had the scene where he shoots. I mean, it was completely expected he was going to shoot a bullet through 3 people.
Yeah,
I mean, he said he had 12 bullets.
It's what you do.
That's what happens.
You conserve ammo.
But they did it, and I'm like, that's kind of the action choreography I wanted to see. And then like also the soccer ball kicking the head off the guy was pretty.
Yeah, that was nice.
I really wish they hadn't gone slow-mo bullet time on everything. Like I think it would have been so funny to have like in the middle of that fight have Deadpool running in normal speed getting shot and you seeing that like shit.
Yeah, there wasn't like gunfights.
Come on, let's get a little bit of like, let's slow things down, let's mix it up, let's make it a little more dynamic.
He gets shot that one time
in the butt.
Yeah, in the butt for the joke, and then later when he's like chasing down goons, he gets shot and he just walks it off. But I don't know, like maybe in this movie they chose to make his regeneration speed a little bit slower than they normally do, which is okay for plot purposes. I understand, that makes sense. You don't want to just make him, they joke about Immortal, but like they need to make him like manageable as a character. But I don't know, for me, every time I read a Deadpool comic, he always had like an assault rifle or something.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of that, and I get that he forgot his guns as a joke a lot, and it was funny the 2 times they did it, but it was
the 2 times.
I wanted one like crazy gunfight.
True. Deadpool, did you see it? Let us know.
You should go see it. It's definitely
We're gonna assume at this point.
Good, yeah. I mean, hopefully.
Spoiler alert.
No, it's great. I mean, I went to theater and paid money for it, you know? So
I also paid money for it.
Exactly. So it was definitely worth that much.